Firstly, our first round is actually a pretty interesting deck. We actually haven't seen it store much.
Yeah, actually, the players have just gotten to go right away. So we're going to see here on the left-hand side is Alex playing the Golgari Freestrider deck. Just Golgari good stuff with a little bit of landfall synergies. Whereas on the flip side, Frenchie is going to be bringing back their Planes-Rock-ers deck, which is what we have decided to call this Golgari Superfriends deck.
I'm really excited. Both in the same color combination, but distinctly different approaches that they're taking to each of them. But let's see. What does Frenchie have out right now? Is that Innkeeper's talent?
Yeah, so this is kind of the go-to card for this Super Friends Planes-Rocker style deck is the Innkeeper's talent. This is going to be something that we see it a lot in Standard. Looks like more Thoughtseizes coming out from both players here. This is probably what we're going to see from both sides is kind of hand disruption from one, hand disruption from another, and then kill spells from one, kill spells from another, and probably going to wind up seeing these Mosswood Dread Knights go the distance.
Yeah, honestly, Mosswood Dread Knight, I don't know if you guys know, has the ability to bring itself back after it dies. So the turn after it's sent to the graveyard, you can actually cast it again as an adventure, and then after the adventure, you can cast it as a creature once again. So lots of value coming out of this thing. Unless you have some sort of exile-based removal, it's just going to keep coming back, you know, causing more problems, drawing more cards. But Frenchie has their Innkeeper's talent on level 2 now already, although board's still pretty clear. Kind of curious what the plan is here. Mosswood Dread Knight on one side, level 3 Innkeeper's talent on the other.
This is a little scary for Alex, because if Alex doesn't have a hand disruption spell, and that last card that Frenchie has there is a Vraska Betrayal Sting, that's GG.
Yeah, Vraska Betrayal Sting, we should probably bring up on the screen here. With Innkeeper's talent on level 3, I believe it's just a 2-card insta-kill combo.
Yeah, for those unfamiliar with the interaction, Vraska Betrayal Sting will enter the battlefield. You can, of course, choose which replacement effect happens first, whether you want to complete it or just pay the full 6. The Innkeeper's talent will then double the amount of loyalty counters it enters with. Vraska will then put a difference between 9 and however many poison counters your opponent has on them, and then that will get doubled by Innkeeper's talent, so they'll just instantly die. But it looks like Frenchie doesn't have it.
Oh,
and so we get the Iridescent Vine Lasher coming out from Alex's deck. This is kind of the draw of playing this Golgari Freestrider deck, at least one of the 2 cards from it. This Offspring Landfall creature is basically going to say every single time a land enters the battlefield, you dome your opponent for 1. Combined with these chip shots that Mosswood Dread Knight's been getting in from Alex, it starts to rack up the damage pretty quick.
yeah, I have to say, Vine Lasher is kind of a breakout card from Bloomburrow right here. It's, you know, having really good results in Standard as well as Pioneer, as we're seeing here tonight. Since we have all sorts of land matters strategies and cards already, like Nissa, Lotus Cobra, Free Strider, what else? Aftermath Analysis. So there is definitely a lot to try and back up this Vine Lasher here.
Oh, this is a pretty sick play by Frenchie. So Frenchie, back against the wall, pulls out a second little thing that his deck can, their deck can do, which is Sorin the Mirthless, entering immediately with 8 counters, going down to 1 to ultimate to deal 13 to Alex and gain 13 life. So now all of a sudden it's 20-2 on the life totals.
Crazy. I think taking one off the land base. Yeah, Innkeeper's talent is just having instant ultimate Planeswalkers at your disposal.
Yeah, I guess that's why these Planeswalkers rock. Or why they're in the rock deck, I guess. But dang, Frenchie just completely swinging the tempo of the game with that. I guess if you're not going to instantly win the game, you might as well just make it impossible for Alex to win the game the next turn.
Yeah, honestly, I thought Alex was in a very commanding position before this turn, and all of a sudden Frenchie just comes back and is like, nope. I actually just don't care about the life totals.
Yeah, it looks like there was also a Bitter Triumph on the Iridescent Vine Lasher. So Alex is going to be able to Mosswood Dread Knight away this Sorin, but one more sort of Planeswalker effect. I don't think there's any bump in the Knights in Pioneer. One more of these like Planeswalker effects off the top from Frenchie, who is in top deck mode. Could just be lights out.
Yeah, let's see it. Oh, counting their mana.
So there is a Hive of the Eye Tyrant on Frenchie's side. However, Alex does have that face-up Fatal Push from an earlier Thoughtseize, so we know that that can't wind up coming down. Ren and Realmbreaker. So this is one that can't actually win Frenchie the game right now.
So getting an emblem for Ren and Realmbreaker, you may play lands and cast permanent spells from your graveyard. So not this turn, but next turn, that Sorin is making a comeback. So
yeah, that Sorin's gonna wind up doing 13 all over again, and Innkeeper's talent is huge here from Frenchie. Like, this Innkeeper's talent is just enabling so many of these already good, grindy, incremental advantage Golgari Planes-Rock-ers into game-breaking, busted, immediate ultimates.
yeah, you normally think of Superfriends is like, oh, kind of slow and dirtily. You know, you have to gain value, like you said, incrementally, and it'll be 5 turns until I can ultimate this thing. No, all of a sudden you're just like, bam, ultimate. What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah, and it looks like there is a bitter triumph from Alex's side. However, there's still an emblem that Ren has made, so Frenchie is still threatening to just play that Sorin from the graveyard. So unless there's like a cling to dust type effect, yeah, Alex is gonna pack it up. Frenchie taking game number 1 off of the back of Innkeeper's talent plus not Vraska.
That was insane, shall we say.
Definitely not how we thought that matchup would go whatsoever.
Yeah, normally you would think, the Free Strider deck is kind of lower to the ground. You can get in for little bits of damage here and there, and then once you cast, some sort of Scape Shift type effect or get a bunch of your lands back somehow, like all of a sudden Vine Lasher is going to be doing 2, 4, 6, lethal amounts of damage all of a sudden. But yeah, Sorin coming out of nowhere and dealing 13 is not what I expected to see today.
Yeah, so Alex is going to have to go to the sideboard, go to the drawing board, and the thing is, both of these decks, both being Golgari, mid-rangey style decks, while they are trying to do different things, probably have a lot of the same cards and overlap in their sideboards. Both of these decks are going to be packing, obviously, a lot of removal, hand disruption, and such cards. Frenchie's side, you're probably going to wind up putting in more creature removal. Alex, though, with all these Planeswalkers from Frenchie, you got to think he's going to be putting in some sort of hand disruption or even more like Bitter Triumph-like cards.
Yeah, I do also think possible cards from Alex will also include stuff like Pick Your Poison to get rid of Innkeeper's talent and any other enchantment that Frenchie might be packing in the deck.
Oh yeah,
and possibly, like you were saying, Cling to Dust, some sort of graveyard removal type effects, seeing as Ren and Realmbreaker kind of clinched the game there. I think if it wasn't Ren and Realmbreaker as that top deck, Alex might have been able to make a comeback there, but the fact that Sorin was threatening lethal next turn, it was just lights out for him.
Yeah, and so Alex actually did share with us in our Card Art Discord channel. If you want to join, you can find it on the link tree if you scan that QR code that is on the bottom of the sideboard screen right now. But Alex did wind up sharing his sideboard with us, and it does look like that there are a couple of things that you can wind up playing to kind of interact with these Planeswalkers. 1 copy of Duress, 2 copies of Sheoldred's Edict with the Sacrifice of Planeswalker mode coming in, and then most importantly, 2 copies of Terra Sunder to exile the Innkeeper's talent so they can't come back with that Ren and Realmbreaker emblem.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it looks like he's also packing 3 copies of Go Blank, which might be relevant here, trying to, disrupt what Frenchie's got going while kind of eking out his own advantage. Might be another game plan he could go with, although I don't know what actually he would board out here.
So there's also 3 copies of Graveyard Trespasser in the main deck. There's a Chevelle, Bane of Monsters, which, while very good at putting bounty counters on other creatures or planeswalkers, if Alex is going to be in danger of just dying when those planeswalkers hit the battlefield because of the Innkeeper's talent, not so sure that one's going to be quick enough for this matchup. However, 4 copies of Archfiend of the Dross is another very fast clock from Alex's side that can, with combined damage from the Iridescent Vine Lasher, you can kind of stack up. But then there are copies of like Go for the Throat and maybe some Fatal Pushes that you can wind up trimming down. There's also an extra copy of Reckoner Bankbuster in the sideboard from Alex. Probably going to wind up seeing that if he thinks the game is going to go long.
Yeah, definitely. I'm interested to see which direction Alex took his sideboarding. It's kind of interesting, actually. Like we were saying before, the Super Friends deck kind of ended up being the, play huge bomb, destroy your opponent, while the more curve out kind of deck that we're seeing coming out of Alex here is actually kind of slower, more incremental value. So, oh, but Free Strider Lookout, hopefully we will see that played. 2 in hand right now.
2 in hand and 3 lands altogether. 2 in hand and 1 on the battlefield. That Restless Cottage. The Free Strider Lookout is the other namesake card of this deck, which basically says every time you commit a crime, so when you cast mostly anything in a Golgari mid-range deck, you look at the top 5 cards of your library, and you put a land from among them onto the battlefield tapped. So that's going to end up happening once per turn, so you could do it like as a discard spell on your opponent, and then on their step, on their turn, target like a creature with a fatal push or something and do it again. And that combined with the Iridescent Vine Lasher really start to rack up damage. The fact that it's a 3/3 reach is also pretty solid right now. We are going to see Graveyard Trespasser, a different 3/3 that triggers everybody's favorite mechanic, Day-Night, coming into play, which will also exile that Thoughtseize that Frenchie cast on turn 1.
Yeah, Alex keeping a kind of a slower hand, but I think it's all very relevant. And if he can stick a couple Free Strider Lookouts, he does get his engine going.
I think that was a third look at it.
Yeah, actually. So, you know, lots of value to be had in Alex's hand, but hopefully he doesn't just get blown out like he did in game 1. Mosswood Dread Knight on Frenchie's side of the board, so no free attacks to be had right now.
And this Graveyard Trespasser might want to be kept around for a little bit. Alex might be considering if he just wants to flip over to nighttime and have that 4/4 side of the Graveyard Trespasser come out. But looks like instead, playing the Free Strider Lookout, one of many in his hand, doesn't have a follow-up land, though, so there's going to be no crimes to commit to wind up trying to find that 4th land right now.
Oh, French is thinking real hard about something.
Yeah, Frenchie just with that Mosswood Dread Knight and a fistful of cards, looks like debating if, I mean, this is a pretty free attack from Frenchie's side. Alex has already demonstrated that he doesn't want to lose the Graveyard Trespasser, so this is going to be something that would followed up by Shieldred.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, now Alex is really not going to be able to get through that that wall that Frenchie has put up.
Multi-format All-Star Shieldred the Apocalypse. Oh, Iridescent Vine Lasher coming out right now with Offspring.
All right, so we got 2 little lizards, but we don't have any crimes or land from Alex's side, it looks like. Oh,
nope,
okay, we got a land.
I'm at 14.
So this does represent the potential of a fatal push or something from Alex's side. And also, there we go, Field of Ruin coming down from that Free Strider Lookout, triggering off of that landfall. So Frenchie going to wind up taking a whole bunch of damage, one from the swamp, one from the Field of Ruin. And now we wind up having the turn pass back to Frenchie. So Frenchie...
4 mana again.
Ooh!
Extinction Event. Now the plus, wait.
Extinction Event on odd completely exiles Alex's board.
Oh, that is so punishing. Alex finally set it up, and Frenchie, Extinction Event off the top, says goodbye.
No, wait.
No, it's day.
So it will stay daytime, though, because Frenchie did wind up casting a devastating spell there. On the draw, Alex should be going down to 6 here.
That was the reason why I was taking Archfiend, was because...
And now, what can Alex... Alex lost his entire board, needs to get rid of this Shieldred, otherwise we'll just be dead on board. Either to the Shieldred attacking and then the draw trigger dealing 2 damage, or just attacking with the Mosswood Dread Knight and the Shieldred itself. But Alex finally has enough lands to do something, but does he have anything to do? Looks like it might just be this Free Strider Lookout and a prayer.
Oh, his own Mosswood Dread Knight coming out as a blocker.
And it looks like Frenchie, unfortunately, did not get the... Okay, they are going back and making sure that that shoulder trigger was accounted for. It looks like Frenchie had it written down, but it was not reflected on our little tablet of life totals. Frenchie going to draw, go back up to 16, and now, I mean, removal spell is basically death here from Alex.
Yeah, it's pretty close.
I'll take 1.
So just trade of Mosswood Dread Knights with that trample. 1 damage does come over. And we're just going to wind up having Frenchie, in net total, gain 1 life off of the Shieldred and Mosswood Dread Knight interaction.
You hate to see it, but Shieldred is such a powerful card. All of a sudden, your draw 1 is just draw 1, gain a life.
And then a fatal push off the top there from Frenchie as well. Now with the revolt trigger, we'll get rid of the free strider lookout. Alex draws a card, goes down to 3, and unless this is something to get rid of that Shieldred, it could be GG.
Man, this is so devastating. Alex's deck was finally coming together, and that extinction event could not have come at a better time, I think.
And no Planeswalkers in sight from Frenchie's side either.
Yeah.
No Golgari Planes-Rocker needed here. Just good old Shieldred, Mosswood Dreadnought like it's standard.
I mean, honestly, it kind of just shows the power of, Golgari Rock style decks. There's just so much value to be had throughout the game that, your game plan is very good, but my plan B is still just as good.
See, that's like the thing too with like these Golgari mid-range decks. Like you said, it's basically like my plan B is still a really solid backup plan, which always makes them so attractive no matter what format they're going to be played in. And it looks like here it's just 2 3 drops coming out from Alex's side, so this is technically alive. Alex can go up to 4 by exiling a creature of his own, but nope, going to choose to commit a crime and instead look at the top 5, maybe get a land into play, and hopefully not put away a removal spell for that Shieldred.
Ooh, doesn't look like he hit anything off that look.
Frenchie going to wind up going up to 18 here as they draw a card for turn. Now double removal spell is lights out. Passing the turn and hoping Alex doesn't have a removal spell of his own is also potentially GG.
Oh, whispers off the hand.
So again, just gaining some life. Looks like Frenchie had 1 extra life that they did not account for from last turn's draw. So actually at 20 instead of 19 here. And just replaying the Mosswood Dreadnought. And yeah, Frenchie just can put the onus on Alex here, pass the turn, and say, can you deal with this Shieldred?
Shieldred is so powerful. Honestly, I hate the card.
I love that card.
The card is so good, but I wish it didn't cost, $85.
That's true. That's true. I was in the Waste Not Discord a little bit earlier today, and someone said, hey, I'm in Europe, and like the €200 cost of Shieldred is kind of preventing me from playing this deck. What else can I do? Alex, looking at the top card.
He's thinking real hard. I think he has something, but he's not sure if it will absolutely save him here.
There may be some hoop. Oh, it looks like it's just a Fabled Passage, so not an out. Now, there is the play of making a food off of your...
He has the cottage, right?
Yeah, off of your cottage, you can activate, swing in. It'll die to Shieldred. You'll make a food, and you won't die.
Yeah, I think you're kind of bought into activating to make a
Looks like that's where Alex is putting his head at.
From the free strider from making
There we go.
my graveyard.
Animate the
That's one
Restless
yours, so you're
Cottage.
back at 5.
And we're going to attack and get a food.
Restless Cottage, part of this new Eldraine cycle of
I mean, you can also
manlands.
play.
Well, I'm not
Oh,
casting
yeah,
a
yeah.
spell, so I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, true.
So this also gets a little Graveyard Trespasser effect, exiling a Fatal Push from Frenchie's Graveyard. There goes the food, swinging in for 4.
Trigger.
And that does commit a crime, so then Alex will be able to find yet another Fabled Passage, and Frenchie, as we thought, is just probably going to trade, or not even trade, just profitably block with
block.
this Shieldred.
Turns out a 4/4 can't kill a 4/5.
No, that's how math works. Now, Alex is looking like he's got all the land that he could possibly want in the world. Still has the ability to survive with this Fabled Pass, with this cracking of a clue, and oh yeah, there was no spell played this turn, so that means that it is going to be nighttime. We're going to wind up having Graveyard Trespasser flip on over into, ooh, here's a quiz for me. What is the flip side of Graveyard Trespasser? Graveyard
I don't even know.
Werewolf. Glutton. Okay, that makes a lot of sense. I can see why that's there.
This thing flips so little.
Yeah, but this is going to be 2 target cards from Graveyard, so this could potentially wind up gaining Alex 2 life if it swings in.
Yeah.
But that's a big ol' if.
It's a really big if. Also, if it survives this turn.
All right, so Frenchie did wind up gaining 2 life, just played the Mosswood Dreadnought from the adventure side. And now Alex is going to be finding a land. Now, that land will enter tapped and then untap due to Fabled Passage's wording. This is going to be food being eaten going up to 4, and then Alex on his draw will go down to 2 from this Shieldred. So Still alive, but top
Hang in
deck.
there.
Top deck has to deal with this shielded or dead.
Yeah. Alex's back is against the wall now. I don't know what his best top deck is here.
I don't think it's a overgrown tomb, which is, I believe, what the draw for the turn was.
26.
Oh,
We're at 26.
that just feels so bad. I know it's a lands matters deck, but like you want to see anything but a land at that point.
Exactly. Now Alex is in an awkward spot because attacking with this Graveyard Glutton to exile 2 of his own creatures from graveyard leaves him dead to the crackback. So you can't even really attack with this Glutton to activate the ability to gain life to survive the draw step.
Yeah, unfortunately for Alex here, I do believe it's just a game because at most he can drain Frenchie for 2, gain 2, but then he only has 1 blocker for the 3 creatures on board. So even if he goes up to 4, blocks Shieldred, takes 6, still dead.
Yeah. I think at this point, basically, you can bluff. That's your play as Alex. You attack with the Graveyard Glutton, Shieldred blocks it, and then that triggers Revolt. Maybe Frenchie doesn't want that to happen and then blocks with a Mosswood Dread Knight, but Alex does have Face Up, Fabled Passage, and Field of Ruin. And I feel like Frenchie might be catching on to, if that was Alex's thought process and line of play, he probably would have just snapped attack by now.
Yeah, there's no point in leaving Shieldred out.
Yeah, Blooming Marsh was the draw for turn, so that's going to be it. GG to Frenchie, who winds up taking that snatch 2-0. The Golgari mirror matchup, The Rock versus The Rock, and The Rock wins.
Yeah.